It's a small evening project that I've just been doing to learn about using some cool sort of online tools. It's based on a sort of throwaway idea I had a few years ago now. I was doing a master's, and I'd sort of lump it into the kind of last season's thinking of kind of toys interfaces, measuring and visualizing our current lifestyles, and diligently avoiding actually changing our lifestyles. So I'm not sort of saying this is the future. It was just interesting kind of little project. So introducing the perfect interface, the one on the left. So my throwaway comment was, where if you're drinking beer, you don't take note of how many gulps you took and how big each one was, and try and add those together and try and judge from that how much you've drank. Instead, you have this perfect bar graph sitting next to you that is so good that you don't even notice you're looking at it. Your subconscious keeps check on it, and maybe at the beginning of the evening, and you know how much you've drank, and you know what that means. So it's a really good interface. Whereas if you're drinking beer from a tube, coming out of the wall, then you'd have no idea how much you drank. And before you know it, you'd have spent a lot of money and you'd be probably in trouble. Whereas, and of course, at the moment, we drink electricity from a tube coming out of the wall. So obviously, we can't sort of manage it. So this comes back to kind of demand side management thing. So I said, well, there's an obvious answer to that. We've got to put electricity into a pint glass. And there it is on the right. So it's your Enerjar is just simply a pint of electricity which you've got for the day, or it could be other time frame. Just as good as an interface in that there's no numbers on it at all. It's something you can just glance at. This is the kind of app loaded up in full, but I don't know if you can see in the bar at the top where you've got your little battery icon showing how much of battery's left in your phone. You'd have another icon which would be your jar, so you could just glance at how much electricity you'd used today, and just as easily as looking at your battery icon. So added a few little things to it, like the little tide marks, the sort of bubble lines being left as it goes down. The first one is the fixed cost that you pay each day to your on your contract. The second one is what you used off peak, and you can actually select different contracts to see how it would differ. So if depending on how much you're using off peak and so on. So that's maybe just a little add-on. Saying this came out of the project at the RCA, and we did a sort of physical version of it back then. So that's the kind of physical jar that you could stick up on a shelf and glance at. This is. I don't know if anybody's here is involved with OWL or anything. I'm not going to knock it, but but maybe implicitly I kind of am, because this is an example of an interface where you've got a lot of numbers, and maybe it's not so good just to glance at, but it also gives you a lot of information, so that's maybe necessary as well as. The physical gubbins of OWL is what I'm using to get the data. So OWL, I'll do a little techie bit. I'm sort of learning all this stuff. It's kind of, as I say, an excuse to learn it. But is that me done?
You've got a bit more time.
Okay. So basically got an OWL which you clip round the wire coming into your house. And it pushes that to the internet, and their web service will allow you to push that onto another service. So I've got a Node server running on Linode, which then converts that XML UDP bit into pushing it onto Xively, which then stores it, and then I've got the web app, which is asking Xively for the data. And that's it.